Thank you, Senator Warren. On behalf of Chairman Brown, Senator Tillis, please.
Senator Reid, I'm going to defer and allow Senator Shelby to go before me, and then I'll follow in turn.
Quite all right, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Powell, earlier this month, Secretary Yellen acknowledged she was wrong about the risk of inflation. Previously, you also acknowledged that the Fed got it wrong in thinking that inflation would be transitory. Yet myself and other members of this banking committee here have been warning about inflation for over a year. Last July, nearly 1 year ago, when you came before this committee, I raised my concerns about the risk of rising inflation, particularly following the enactment of a $2 trillion spending bill. At that time, there was already evidence that inflation was affecting numerous areas of our economy. I discussed the year-to-year price increases on agricultural goods such as corn, wheat, and soybeans at that time. I pointed out the rising cost of metals, including copper and aluminum. I mentioned the increase in energy prices, used cars, and airline tickets. As someone who remembers, and I do from this committee, encountering high inflation during the 70s, I warned that many of the same conditions present then, such as loose monetary policy and significant government spending, were occurring again, among other things. My main concern last year was that the Federal Reserve would fail to address rising inflation before it was too late. 11 months later, this concern has come to fruition. And as we sit here today, inflation, as you've already pointed out, is at a 40-year high. The average gas price is over $5 a gallon, and we are currently in the midst of 12 consecutive months of inflation above 5%, including spiking to 8.6 last month. Ultimately, Mr. Chairman, as inflation continues to run rampant, I believe the Federal Reserve and this administration failed the American people by not heeding these warnings a year ago and by not acting sooner to address it. We're where we are today, I know that. The consequences of being wrong on inflation are now being felt, as has been pointed out here today, by American families and workers across the country. And despite the recent decision to raise interest rates, the Federal Reserve still has a long way to go to get inflation under control. What can we expect in the future from the Federal Reserve? And I know you don't have total control over inflation, but you have a lot of sticks there. And what will you use to bring this under control?
Thank you, Senator. So financial conditions, of course, have tightened and have priced in a string of additional rate increases, and that's appropriate. Well, as you pointed out, and as Senator Tillis pointed out as well, our policy rate is only at 1.6%, but all out the curve, the market is pricing in increases. So financial conditions have already priced in additional rate increases. But we need to go ahead and have them, and I think that the most recent inflation indicators of various kinds suggest to us that we needed to accelerate the pace at which we get up to a level that is neutral, that is close to the longer run neutral level, and then we can make an assessment of how much further and faster to go. And so that's what we're doing. I think you can see from the moves we're making now that we do understand the full scope of the problem, and we're using our tools to address it pretty vigorously now.
Mr. Chairman, explain to us again how important one of your mandates is price stability, how important price stability is to all Americans.
So price stability is really the bedrock of the economy in the sense that you really cannot have a sustained period of maximum employment, our other co-equal goal. You can't have that without price stability. And so we must restore price stability, and we will. We have the tools and the resolve and hopefully the judgment to accomplish that task. It's essential that we do.
What's your next step?
Well, if you look at the market has been I think reading our reaction function reasonably well, and I think what you will see is continued progress toward expeditious progress toward higher rates. I'll say this: the center of the committee wrote down that rates would be between 3 and 3.5% by the end of this year, as of a few weeks ago.
Is
as
this,
of 1 week ago.
is this Federal Reserve Board of Governors, under your leadership, committed, as Dr. Volcker was some 40 years ago, to bringing inflation under control no matter what?
I would never want to try to compare myself to Paul Volcker in any way, but I will say that we are strongly, strongly committed to restoring price stability. We do understand that it is the thing that we need so that we can get back to the kind of labor market that we all want.
But reaching the standard that Volcker left at the Fed would be a high reach, but one that anybody there should try to get there, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.